Good morning, everyone. We will start in about a minute. Thank you for joining us today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar on marketing fundamentals for small business. I'm Peter Talion, the webinar coordinator and a business mentor here at SCORE Fairfield County. I'll be your host today, and our presenter is Bob Zukowski. More on Bob in just a moment. First, some brief information on SCORE. SCORE is a nonprofit national partner of the Small Business Administration with over 10,000 volunteers nationally. In Fairfield County, we have about 100 volunteers with a wide range of industry, process, and subject matter expertise. We offer 3 primary value-added services to small business owners: free one-on-one counseling, either face-to-face, video, telephone, or email, which can be accessed via Request Mentor link on our website or via the link on the screen. The second service we provide are educational workshops and webinars, such as the one that you are participating in today. And third, we have extensive resources on our website, including a network of subject matter experts at your disposal. Our next live webinar will be tomorrow, April 9th at noon, when John Mendez will be presenting, using AI to increase your sales. Look for the specifics on our website, www.fairfieldcounty.score.org. We also have a large number of recorded webinars on our website that cover a wide range of business topics. These can be viewed at any time by clicking on demand webinars. Some useful information about today's event. We have set aside time for Q&A throughout the presentation. If you have a question, please use the Q&A button at any time during the presentation. It is located in the lower part of your screen. Our webinar will end sharply at 1 p.m. to respect your time. The session is being recorded, and the link to the recording will be available at our website within the next day or so. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce our speaker, Bob Zukowski. Bob has been involved in international sales, marketing, and strategic planning for over 30 years. His career has ranged from large corporations to his own startups. Over the past 13 years, Bob has been a hands-on entrepreneur involved with his own startup. We are delighted to present Bob, and Bob, please go right ahead.
Thank you, Peter. It's a very nice introduction. Thank you. So we've already covered a lot of this, but I do want to say that I am an entrepreneur, and I started my company in 2018, and I'm still working in it today. So it's my everyday job. So we want to talk about today building a platform for sustainable growth. We're going to look at marketing research, where we can go find information, and then some information about marketing strategy, how to apply what we've learned to a strategy, to an implementation. So we're going to look at some information about our customers, our competitors, the industry that we're in, and what are the market trends. So it's very important as an entrepreneur to have a unique selling proposition. And that can take many forms, as you see here. Your image, the product that you sell or the service that you offer. What value do you bring? Is your unique selling proposition in your packaging? Are you priced accordingly? Are you the low price solution or the higher price solution? How do you distribute your product? And customer service. Uh, Customer service is absolutely critical for small businesses. Uh, I have found in my own company that by responding to customers' concerns and questions, that turns into social media posts that help get business. So the other thing that you want to consider is, what is your competitive strategic advantage? Now, this concept is, how do you compete for the long term? And anybody can start a business, put a name on the door, but how are you going to compete long term? So what's your long term leverage? Is it your technology on the internet, or do you have a technology product that's unique? Intellectual property? Do you have a patent? I can tell you from personal experience, patents are really important if you have a product that is patentable. Um, it does take some time. This is the long game. Um, we filed for our first patent in 2018, and it wasn't issued until 2021. So it's definitely a long game. Product development. You can bring a product to market, but what's next? What's going to sustain the business with the next product? And cost structure. If you can maintain a cost structure that is competitive and adds margin, then that is a strategic advantage. And don't underestimate talent. The people that you hire can bring very special skills to the table. And in today's world, a lot of that is technology based. Start modeling your business. By that, I mean, and as Peter mentioned, there are a lot of resources on SCORE's website. I downloaded some of those Excel spreadsheets years ago, mostly financial, and I'm still using them today. Inside that model are all my competitors, my pricing, my cost structures, thoughts about how to grow the business. So I always recommend to start modeling the business so that you can go back to it as things change in the marketplace. So you got to think about, who's your target customer? How are you going to find them? How are you going to convince them to buy? And how do you turn them into advocates? And as simple as this sounds, it can get very complex depending on the product. Your target market is, if you're a B2C company, so a business to consumer, okay, the age, the sex, the income level, the geography, what their family is like, specific characteristics about your target market. And the way I looked at this early on is, who's my perfect customer? Who would walk in the door, see the product, go through the process, and buy? Who is that person, or who are those people? Because those are the people that I want to focus on going forward. If you're in the B2B market, business to business, what industry, what company size, and possibly geography. Okay, typically small companies deal with companies that are local, typically smaller companies. It's important to be careful here that you don't get caught in a situation where you sell a product to a big company, yet you can't deliver the product or as quickly as they may want it. So if you're starting small, stick with smaller companies, local geography, it makes it a lot simpler. Internet search, start thinking about how people are going to find you on the web. Most businesses have websites. I would certainly recommend that you have a website. Start thinking about keywords. What are people going to type into their telephone or their computer to find you. And this is a whole science of how to get found on the web. So start understanding, and the way I did keywords, I would ask friends. Of course, I can come up with keywords, but that's not necessarily what people are going to be looking for. I ask other people, said, well, if you were looking for my product, what would you type into your search bar? And that gave me some very interesting insights on how people would find me. You're really trying to get into the mind of that consumer. Um, what are they going to type to find you? So, who are your competitors? In that model that I suggested earlier, I've built a profile of my major competitors. I know their products, I know their pricing, I know their constructions. I know a lot about their businesses because I'm constantly searching for information. On my Google feed, I have all my competitors. So um, whenever some content is posted on the internet, I get an alert based on those competitors. So I know what they're doing, what they're saying, because people are going to come to me and say, "Hey, this competitor is doing this. How do you compare?" And I need to be up on exactly what my competitors are doing. The other thing is initially, you got to look at some strengths and weaknesses. So there's a SWOT analysis. I think there's probably a webinar or a session at SCORE that focuses on SWOT analysis. Um, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Where do you see opportunities? And where are some threats? And in today's environment, things are changing very quickly. So it's important to understand what the threats are. Um, you know, well, the market changes quickly in today's world, and it's important to keep up on exactly what's going on. So there's internet research that you can do from an industry standpoint. Google Trends, you can search by subject, social media trends. Libraries and universities have paid databases. Look at trade publications, newspapers and periodicals can still be searched. Trade shows. If you go to a trade show that is in your industry, you can learn a lot about who's in the industry, maybe look at competitors. Um, it's a great source of information. Um, I've joined the local Chamber of Commerce. I'm up here in Newtown, Connecticut. So I joined the chamber. So I'm part of the community. I want to be ingrained in the community so people know who I am. And if someone locally is looking for my product, they know where to go. Typically, people who are in the chamber, they tend to patronize businesses of other chamber members. So I think that's one of the important ingredients to a small upcoming business. There's census and government data, and there's public company reports, either on Dun and Bradstreet. There's the financial markets that share information about companies. So one of the things that I do is two companies that are in my industry. I follow the public companies. I follow their stock price. I certainly follow all their media. I evaluate their financials because it's public data. So I can compare my financial performance with a big company. Am I as good? Can I get as good? It just gives you a sense of uh, how your company is performing against a well-established public company. I think it's great information to have. Different industries have different margins. And so if you're competitive in that margin, my product competes against these companies. So I need to be well versed on what they're doing. I do listen to their quarterly financial reports. I also read them. So it's a great source of information if you can find find a public company that's in your market and follow them closely. The other way you can gather information is with interviews. You can be a customer at a competitor. I have done that. I've gone into competitors and acted as if I was just a customer, and I asked questions, and I got some very interesting answers. I also talked to my customers. I asked them, please get back to me. Let me know what you think of the product, how it's working. Can we make it better? Similar providers in non-competitive market areas. You can also talk with your suppliers, because typically suppliers provide product to multiple companies. If they're willing to share, you might get some insight. I've done this with one of my suppliers who says, yep, this company is not doing well, or this company is doing well. They're doing this. But that relationship has been built over years. So it is an avenue of information. You can do surveys and questionnaires, face to face or online. You can do an online survey of your current customers. Focus groups can be expensive if you do a formal one, but you can do an informal one. Friends and family, conversations with friends or associates. If you belong to a club of some sort, ask them what they think. And see what people are saying about your competitors on social media. There's a wealth of information, and people are not shy about sharing their opinions, as you probably know, about products. We have had success, and I will tell you, it was not planned success, but we get mentioned, and I personally get mentioned on Reddit quite a bit. When somebody calls the store or comes in the store, I obviously ask them, well, how did you find me? And a lot of people will say, oh, we heard about you on Reddit. And it's only because customers of mine have gone on to Reddit who've had a positive experience with us and posted on there. And when somebody recommends something, or when somebody's looking for something, they go to other people's recommendations. Now, that's an avenue that we're going to exploit going forward. We're going to start running ads on Reddit to drive people into our website to engage with. So but I also see what competitors our customers are saying about my competitors. And I can leverage that when I'm talking to a potential customer. Networking, trade organization, local groups, meetup. There's various places. I used to and still do. There's a technology group here in Connecticut. I think they're out of West Hartford, but they do a monthly seminar, and I get on. I know these people. We chat. It's always good to get, as small businesses, we're the face of our company. So it's great to get our faces out to the local area, because that's eventually going to drive traffic to the business. Here are some sources. I'm not going to go through each one of these, but these are databases that you can go to and pull information about various places. You can go onto the census data, and if you're looking to, for example, if you're looking to expand into a particular area and you want to know the demographics of that area, census data is great for that. It'll show you, what the household average income per capita is, housing values. It gives you a lot of good information. So as you may be looking to expand, here are ways of finding some of that data. Your library is a great resource. The I've used the the Westport, Greenwich, Ridgefield libraries. I go there, I download information. They have all the databases that you can use. So it's free to go get the information. The key, one of the things is you got to ask the right questions, so they can point you in the right direction. But and you may be limited. It may say, oh, you're limited to, 1,000 downloads, or 1,000 pieces of content. Oh, hold on a second. Amazon's just coming in. You can just drop that right there. Bob. I'm Bob. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, you too. Sorry about that. So even if they say, okay, you can only get 1,000, a list of 1,000 things, you log out, log back in, you can download another 1,000. It's not a hard number. You just need to know how to manipulate the system. Bring a stick, to put your data on, and you're good to go. But this is a wealth of information. Okay. So we want to switch gears here. Talk about marketing strategy. Any questions on the first part of this?
No, Bob, we do not have any questions so far.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. So let's talk about marketing strategy. Okay. So the definition of marketing strategy is an explanation of what specific actions, we call them tactics, that will be taken over time to achieve our objective. So Michael Porter, if you're not familiar with Michael, is a Harvard professor. He's written a lot of books on competitive advantage. One of his books, creating and sustaining superior performance. And where are you going to win the competitive battle? And he goes through each of these categories and says, well, which one of these are you going to be the best at? And because you can't be the best at all of them, it's not sustainable, but you can be best at one and maybe two of these categories. So your product and service is a given. It has to bring value to the customer. The sales and distribution, how are you selling? Are you selling through dealers? Are you selling direct to the consumer? Are you a wholesaler? Are you a combination thereof? Because all those decisions have impact on how much money you make. It has an impact on the bottom line. How do you distribute your product? Are you shipping it from a distributor? Are you taking the order and someone else is drop shipping it to the customer? Are you shipping it to the customer? All those different decisions have cost implications. You think of it, anytime somebody touches your product, whether it be physically or digitally, are going to add something to the product. Is your marketing going to be unique? Okay. How are you going to market your product that stands out above and beyond the competition? That becomes, and we're going to talk more about that as we go down in the presentation. But the marketing, because there are so many different platforms on how you can market, the marketing has to be, it sort of starts out with a shotgun approach, but then it needs to be laser focused. Pricing strategies change all the time. I know in my own business, I change my pricing sometimes based on what my competitors are doing, sometimes what's happening within the company. if you're a low cost provider, if you're going to be beating everybody else's pricing, then, how are you going to take cost out to have a reasonable margin? Okay? These are the considerations. Technology, there's some people who say that, you don't exist unless you have a website, because people are going to go and want to look at what your product or service is on the web, independent of either meeting you or whatever. So having a website is absolutely critical. Certainly, if you're in the e-commerce business, you need to be able to have a website that presents the product appropriately. And it's critical that if you're selling online, that there's a minimum of the number of clicks to get to the sale. So when people find the website, okay, you've done a great job with your SEO. They found the website, they found the product. The content of that page needs to answer the question that they put into the SEO, okay, that they put into the search. And if they find it right up front, they're more likely to continue on through the website. If they're going to buy something, it's as a minimal amount of clicks, one, maybe two, three at most, and they've bought the product. I'm sure you've all bought product on Amazon. You click on a product, and right up in the corner it says, buy this product. It has your shipping information, it has your payment information. One click and you can buy that product. Or if you're buying it a second time, right, it already knows. You want to buy this again? Just click here. All the information stays the same. Amazon had figured that out a long time ago. So as your website is being constructed, keep in mind that that technology, you want to take away barriers that will slow that person down, and they may say, this is too confusing, I'm going to go someplace else. So give them what they're looking for and make it easy for them to buy. Okay. Set objectives. Okay. Short term, 6 to 12 months. What are your objectives? Long term, 2 to 5 years. And what are you measuring? What is the key performance indicators? Is your marketing trying to drive people to come to the store, to set up an appointment, to give you their email address so you can market to them that way? Set up those goals so that you know that you're accomplishing what what your marketing strategy has set out to do. Otherwise, you're not really sure if you're doing well or you're not doing well. So you're all familiar, I'm sure, with a marketing funnel. Okay. At the top of the funnel, no matter what the marketing platform is, you want to make people aware of who you are. So typically this is either done through paid advertising or through organic search. So SEO, excuse me, SEO is part of organic search. Okay. So you're trying to make people aware of who you are, what your product or service is. That's the top of the funnel. That's the widest part of the funnel. You want them to become interested. So as I said, when they put in a search term and your website comes up, you want to give them exactly what that search was looking for. Okay. You know what it is, you know what they've put in, because those keywords are within your website. So now they are now interested. Oh, this is an interesting product. Let me read more. Okay. That's where desire comes in. I want to know more. Okay. Let me look at this company compared to this company, or that product compared to this product. Now you really have their attention, that they now have a desire to do more research. Okay? In my business, people do a lot of research. And when they end up with me, they've typically done a lot of research. Then they take an action. They contact you. They call you. They submit a question, a contact form. They call. and maybe they buy. Okay. Maybe they buy at that point. So there's a lot of different actions that can happen, but an action is what's leading to the sale of a product or a service. And then the support, the customer service that you provide, that your company provides, turns them from simply a customer into an advocate. Go back to my comments about people talking about me and my company on Reddit. Those people are advocates. You know, I do a poor job, admittedly, of asking people for reviews. I'm getting better at it. Ask people for reviews. If you've had a positive experience, ask those people to post on your Google business page, on your website, on one of the, one or multiple social media platforms. It's hard to ask people to go, well, would you go to Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, and post? That's not going to happen. But if they post on one of those, and I ask people to go to either my Google business page or Reddit and make a post, because that's where I know I'm getting traction. Now those people become an advocate for your product. So you have to figure out how you're going to differentiate your business in one of these categories. Brand identity. Okay? Even small companies, we have brands. Okay. On the outside of my building here, I have a sign. It has a logo. It has a message. It has the company name. Okay. That's my brand identity. So the brand identity is something that starts and builds over time. Sales and distribution, we talked a lot about this, but one thing I want to talk about is an affiliate network. Okay. Affiliate networks can be a source of sales and a source of advocates for your products. Okay. So let's talk about affiliates for a moment. Affiliates sell product through a network, or you can sell your products through a network of bloggers, coupon sites, influencers. So you develop a relationship with these folks, and you can do that either directly, or there are some online platforms that you can use. One is Share a Sale, the other is CJ Affiliates. There are several of them out there. I personally, I have my own affiliate program that is embedded into my website. And we use some software called Affiliate WordPress, or WP. And those people are people that I've had relationships with, and they become affiliates. We have a chiropractor here in Connecticut who sells a lot of product for us. That's the kind of affiliate relationship that I'm looking for. It's commission based, so whatever they sell, they get a commission. You are the merchant. This is just some of the nomenclature in this affiliate world. You are the merchant, so you're the product owner. They are the advertisers or the sellers. You supply the products or services. You also have to supply them with content. They don't know your product or service, so you have to provide them with graphics or video or articles that they can use. For example, with a blogger, you want to give them articles that they can post or that they can comment on within their own blogging. And bloggers can be found in all sorts of industries. So find the right industry that you're in, find those bloggers, reach out, say, look, and usually there's a contact form on their website. I would like to set up an affiliate relationship. And here's some content that we could possibly use. So it's a win-win if they're out there providing information to their followers. Some of these bloggers have, thousands or tens of thousands or even millions of people who follow their information. So developing that relationship could be very lucrative. It takes a lot of effort. It's not as simple as I make it sound, but you need to create that content. You need to sell your product, and you think of them as a sales force. Okay. They're out selling. When they sell something, and only when they sell something, do they get a commission. And there's all sorts of things that happen in the back end of a website that you can track that with. Okay. But when they do better, then you do better. So branding, again, you can look at some of these brands here that I have in this graphic. Okay. These brands, they make a promise. Okay? When you go to Starbucks, what you're going to get. Okay. What you're going to get when you go and buy uh, a product like an Adidas. You know what you're going to get when you buy a Pepsi or a Coke or a McDonald's. Okay. So brands make a promise. And as you're building and growing your business, build that brand. The logo of Starbucks was created a long time ago. And I want to say back in the 60s. And, that's still, when you see that, you know what you're going to get. When you walk in to a Starbucks, you know what you're going to get. So brands make a promise. So start thinking about how your logo or your saying is going to make that promise, because it tells a story. Okay? I just listened to a great podcast about the founding and growing of Starbucks, and it was absolutely fascinating. And Starbucks is a company that really wanted to build community around coffee. Okay. That's why when you go in their store, there's a place to sit. There's Wi-Fi. It's a community. It has a certain feel to it. So it tells a story that when you're coming in, you know that this is going to be a pleasant environment to be in. Okay. So that's what a brand does. It tells a story. It's recognizable. Okay. People, we put signs on buildings so as people drive by, maybe tonight when they get home and they see my ad on Facebook, they go, "Oh, I know that I saw that logo. I saw it was on a building here in Newtown." Right? Because I'm advertising here locally. You can set up all these platforms to advertise in a certain geography. Solicit some emotion. If you can solicit emotion with your brand, you're on your way, because people get emotion. It's like puppy dogs and babies. Uh, those things solicit emotion. So if your brand can solicit that emotion, you're on your way. It also builds loyalty. Obviously, Starbucks has huge loyalty. A lot of people go there. And here's a great example, their pricing is higher. So they've built a brand that people are willing to pay more for a cup of coffee. Competitive awareness. It it separates you from everybody else. When you create your identity, create it so that it's unique to other companies, to other looking logos. Okay, these are all different. Google went with, the basic prime colors. Where else? Back back a long time ago, you used to tell somebody, "Hey, oh, I got to go make a Xerox of this, okay, to go make a copy on a copy machine." Uh, Now people say, "Oh, I got to Google it." That word has become part of the lexicon. So this is our logo, and that swoosh that you see there is intended to tell people that you start, we're in the sleep industry, obviously, that you start in light sleep and you go to deep sleep. That's what custom sleep technology is all about. So that's our take on it. Now, you also notice that that is trademarked. Trademark things like logos is very important, because one day when you're wildly successful, you got to protect your intellectual property, and that is part of our intellectual property. So let's talk about marketing mix. Okay, digitally. Okay, your website is your marketing tool. It's your store. Okay, certainly social media, content marketing. What content are you creating to put within the social media or the media platforms that you're using? Okay, there are many, many different uh, marketing venues that you can use. I show just a few of them here at the top of this funnel. Okay, email marketing, blogging, pay per click, inbound links. Inbound links is part of SEO, TV and radio. Literally, right before you folks got on, a person came in. I don't know if you can see this or not. Fox 61 news station, a woman that I've known for several years came in, and we're considering doing some local advertising and potentially on television to drive people to our store. That's part of our marketing mix, right? So obviously social media, SEO, print. Um, we're going to have a an article written about us here in the local paper. Um, who knows where that could go? But all of those potential marketing platforms can can create a buzz around the business. And being small businesses, it really is about us. It's really a buzz about us. So as you build this marketing mix, okay, the things to remember are: review the issues with each one of these. Certainly, cost is an issue, reach is an issue. The demographics that those particular platforms are reaching. Okay? Um, what does success look like? What are you trying to do? I might be trying to drive them into our store. Okay? Locally, within a 50-mile radius, I'm trying to drive people into the store. Well, does Fox 61 Connecticut? I'm sure it's all in Connecticut, but I don't know if the people just over the border in New York get it. I don't know. Okay. You have to look at this mix. What are the pros? What are the cons? Lay out a plan. Is everything going to launch at the same time? Make sure that the content is consistent, that the message to the market is the same. Okay? Don't have a different message on different platforms. Um, Lay out the plan. When is everything going to launch? What are the metrics? You're spending money on this advertising. What are the metrics? Is it sales? Is it email addresses? Is it visits to the store? Whatever it may be, visits to the website. Okay. What is the metric that you're looking for? And then when you've run the campaigns, evaluate and repeat. Okay. So you want to evaluate what happened, what worked, what didn't work. It's important to understand what drove people in. And in today's digital marketing environment, you get metrics all the time. Okay? Everything has a metric associated with it. Okay. Digital analytics, you get instant feedback. Okay. I can go on to Google and I can see if there's people on my website. I can track where they've gone within the website, what pages they landed, what page did they end up on. If they got to the buy page and then backed out. Um, people, you can, bounce rate is one of the metrics that um, I watch closely. And a bounce rate is simply when somebody comes into your website and turns around and goes right back out the same way. They don't navigate to another page. So they may have come in by accident and left, or they got in and they didn't get what they were looking for. That goes back to that research, the SEO, what keywords are they putting in, and the content that's on that landing page within the website. Are they getting what they came for? Okay. Traditional channels, it's the lag time of the advertisement to when somebody comes in, unless you're running coupons and people have to bring a coupon in, it's a little more difficult to get the feedback from traditional channels. But from a digital standpoint, it's almost instantaneous. So it's really important to understand and watch what your ROI is, or as it said, return on ad spend from a digital standpoint, because you don't want to be sending money into that huge machine of Google or Facebook, and not get a return on it. So really important to watch that return on investment. Artificial intelligence, Chat GPT. Um, for me, it's been a relatively new, and I'll say over the last 6 to 8 months, relatively new tool that I use. I have an account on Chat GPT, and I use it for a variety of things. I'm going to share with you. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to see if I can find this. Let me get this page up here. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to stop that, and I'm going to share. Let's see here. That. All right, bear with me here. Okay. Okay. This morning, we recently had a grand opening here at the store that I'm sitting in. Okay. Somebody asked me, hey, I belong to a garden club. Could you give me a brochure that I could pass out at the garden club? And I said, sure. And I sat down yesterday to try and start building that. This morning, I asked ChatGPT, okay, write a company brochure for custom sleep technology. And it came up with a multi-section brochure, and it may not be perfect. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not going to take this to the printer today. But what it does do is it gives me ideas. It gives me this particular saying, perfect sleep engineered. That's what we do. We engineer sleep by how we create our product. Never thought of that before. Never put it in those words before. So my recommendation is learn how to use ChatGPT and some of these tools, because they really are valuable. I've asked it to write a marketing plan. Now we have a website, it's been well established. it wrote a marketing plan. I asked it to write a social media plan, and it did so. Now, it's not perfect, but it gives me ideas. It spurs thoughts that allows me to then take that information and go do what I need to do. So it's a great tool, and that's what it is. It's a tool that I think businesses absolutely rely on, can rely on for information. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share there. Okay, so that's the end of the presentation. We've got about 10 minutes. So if anyone would, like to ask questions, or Peter, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Bob, for the great presentation. A lot of content, a lot of very, very useful information. Yours, just in terms of giving a little bit more background to the audience, your store is in what part of Fairfield County?
Oh, we're in Newtown.
Okay. And how many stores do you have?
We have just the one. We just relocated up here to Newtown in February to a much better retail location. We were previously in Shelton, and we relocated up to Newtown.
And how long have you been in business in the store?
We started this company, Custom Sleep Technology, in 2017. I had a previous company prior to that was started all the way back in 2009.
And what's you talked about competitive advantage. What is the competitive advantage of your store?
Well, we sell mattresses, and we took the approach of from an engineering standpoint. So what we do is I've created a technology that takes body metrics, so your height, your weight, your shoulder and hip dimensions, and your sleeping position, and we use those metrics to design that side of the mattress. So we're very different in how we approach the design of a mattress. You can walk into a retailer and they'll tell you to try different mattresses. Here, when you come in, we have, and if you can see the signs behind me, they say design platform. Those mattresses are designed for different types of sleepers. And we have 3 patents on those designs. We just received our last patent last month. So our competitive advantage is, one, we build a mattress product specific to the people who are going to use it, and we have protected that technology with 3 patents and a couple of different trademarks.
All right, great. Thank you for that background. For those of you on the call, please put your questions into the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. The first couple of questions, the first one is, what are the effective ways to ask for reviews for a medical clinic?
Typically, I mean, I've engaged with the medical community, and typically those questionnaires that come back to me are, how were you received? Was your appointment on time? It's not so much, did the doctor solve your problem? But how did the doctor treat you? Did he listen to she listen to your concerns? Take them seriously. What was the environment like? So, was the communication clear? Now when I go to the doctor, I get a text message ahead of time, confirm your appointment and all that. And that's very helpful for me because I'm very busy. And I need to make sure that if I didn't get it on my calendar, that I get a notification. So it's those types of, not specific to the medical question, but to how you were treated in the entire sort of environment around the medical issue.
Understood. Our next question is, if you do not have a physical location, but want to create brand recognition and some sort of customer engagement, what are the tools and what are the techniques that somebody could use. So to create brand recognition until they have a physical location.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It all starts with the website, the logo. Um, we have our tagline in our website, which says, the future of quality sleep. Okay, so those types of things, it really is, the website is your physical location. And then you start putting, and it doesn't have to be paid advertising. It can simply be being engaged in conversations on the web. So for example, uh, we have a our name is on Reddit. Okay. Custom Sleep Tech is on Reddit, but I don't have to, I can comment on things that people post. And I'm not trying to sell them, but I'm trying to just make people aware, that there are alternatives. I'm on another platform where I'm considered an expert in the industry, and I can share my thoughts with people who are on that platform. So it doesn't really help with my sales, but it certainly helps with when people go to that particular platform, and it's a mattress review platform. When they go there, they find that, oh, they talk about this company and this guy, and that starts to build awareness. It starts to build brand awareness. But that the SEO and the keywords of how the website is structured is really how you're going to build that awareness, and then just start promoting the product or the service, even just through conversation.
Great. You answered the second question that was in our queue about getting a business from Reddit. You're not allowed to market on Reddit, but your approach, from what you just said, is it's commenting, being viewed as an expert, answering questions that people have. So not very blatant marketing, but you are a contributor to the Reddit threads. Is that correct?
Right. Exactly.
Great. Let's go to another question. It appears that your company, CST, is also a hybrid, being online and physical location. Do you find it easy to keep the general goal and vision of both on the same page? Or do you find they serve two different end goals? So do you really have one business with two vehicles, online and physical, or do you, in essence, have two different businesses?
It's not two different businesses. They are very much intertwined. The experience is different. And so we ship the majority of our product is someplace outside the state of Connecticut. We seem to sell very little in Connecticut. So we ship. I'm about to this afternoon. I'm about to pack up a mattress that's going down to Virginia. Um, so the experience when you come into the store is obviously different. We use a technology in the store that's different than the technology that we use online. The outcome is the same. So we need people's body metrics. So when somebody comes in here, we get their body metrics and we put it into our system, and up comes a design. When people someplace else in the country, they go through somewhat of an extensive questionnaire. Those questionnaires then get passed through our website, and the designs are created and sent back to them in an email. So the experience is different, but it's all the same. It's all the same goal. Our goal is to provide our customers with the opportunity to get deep delta wave sleep. That's where all the great things happen in our bodies. So that's our goal. In the whether they're coming in here or they're experiencing us through our website, they know that that's the goal. That we're here to help them get a healthy sleep, which is what helps to do all sorts of great things in our body when we get to that stage 3 delta wave sleep.
Excellent. We have time for one more question, and here it is. What kind of a commission do you give affiliates? Are there people that are affiliates or distributors or reps, people that drive business to your company? Do you give them a commission? How does it work with affiliates?
So when an affiliate, so within our website, our affiliates have their own landing pages. So when somebody, so if the affiliate says, here's my landing page, they get a link, they end up on their landing page, they buy the product in the website, it tags that to the affiliate. Okay, so that's how the sale is made. At the end of the month, we pay a 12% commission to the affiliates. So the as I mentioned earlier, the affiliate WP, which is embedded in our website, tracks all that. At the end of the month, we go through, we look at the sales that they've created, we know the products that they've sold, and now we issue them a once a month, usually at the beginning of the month for the previous month, we issue them a 12% commission check.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So thank you very much. That's all the time we have for questions today. As a reminder, a recording of this webinar and materials will be available within the next day or so on our website under recorded webinars. Our next live webinar will be tomorrow, April 9th at noon, with John Mendez, who will be presenting using AI to increase your sales. This is a topic that Bob talked about today. Look for the specifics on our website, Fairfield County.
Yep.
Again, SCORE offers free individual counseling, so please use the link on the screen or visit our website and click Request a Mentor. Please also fill out your evaluations that have been sent to you at the end of this webinar. In closing, we thank Bob very, very much for the very, very excellent presentation, and we wish everybody a great afternoon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.